This is For the Creators.
I'm Vanessa.
And I'm Ryan. And this is For the Creators. Welcome back to another Spotlight show.
Yes, today we have the amazing DJ and radio presenter Lara Fraser with us.
Yeah.
So, how's your week been?
It's been good. It's been busy. In a good way. We've been doing a lot of interviews and content for the creators. So that's been really good. And we've, been looking at the Instagram and that's been growing a lot, which is good, man. I think we really turned the corner this week.
It really feels nice to be speaking to people and not ourselves. Because at the start, you're kind of like, you just put things out there. Are they going to engage? Are they not going to engage? Is anyone out there? Are we talking to ourselves?
Yep.
But it's really good now, especially like since we did the poll for this week's conversation and a lot of people got involved. So I'm excited about that because audience participation is so important because at least you know that you're creating content that they actually want.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole title is For the Creators. It was never for us. It was always for the community. So it's good that we're hearing back from the community now. For
sure. For me, it's been more or less the same. I literally feel like it's becoming Groundhog Day. I don't know what interview we've had, and it just feels like I'm in this room all the time. Because we were here on the weekend as well. I had that one day off, and then we're back again. So
that's it, man.
The podcast is actually starting to feel like a job now, which is exciting because, we're in our first season and it's really taking off and people are really gravitating to it. So it's nice to think that our idea that we had at the start of the year is now
it's a fully fledged thing, man. It's actually crazy.
It's good.
So, yeah, thank you so much.
Definitely. So, on this Monday's episode, we have the Manhood Academy.
Yeah, powerful episode.
That was by far one of the most, thought-provoking and enlightening interviews we've had so far.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was more like going back to school. I felt like I learned so many different lessons, and it made me look at how we see the youth in the communities in a different way, because it's so easy to focus on the negative that you see in the media, but because we intentionally didn't focus on that, it made me start to really think about all of the issues and the things that impact their lives to make them react the way that they do. One of the things that really stood out for me was obviously the quote.
Yeah.
And that quote was so powerful because it's basically saying if you do not embrace if the village doesn't embrace the children, they'll burn it down to feel its warmth. And I thought that was so powerful because everything starts at home, and it really shows you that if you don't encourage the youth, if everything that we're doing is just chastising them and telling them you're so wrong, you're wrong, then eventually they're going to act out.
Or on the other side, just ignoring or discounting certain groups of people, they will get noticed somehow. So it's about paying attention and giving love, and ultimately, do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was super, super powerful. If you haven't heard that episode, definitely listen back. It's a bit different, obviously, for the creators, but our ethos is that it took this group of people to create this community group. So they are creators, even though it's not in the creative industries. They've created something and it's making a positive change. So that's why we wanted to cover that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we should probably say to our audience, just in case they haven't picked up on it, so I was thinking if maybe we should include it in the overall description of the show, the different types of interviews that we do.
Yes.
Because a friend of mine was saying, I like the fact that, you bring them on midway through the conversation. I thought, no, but all of them are not like that because we have the full-length interviews on a Monday.
Yep.
So on a Monday, we either release a full-length interview, which focuses mainly on that individual, or we have a snapshot which focuses mainly on an issue. And the Manhood Academy was one of those. And we have another one coming up very soon with Shazam. So that's quite cool. But then on a Wednesday, it's more topical. So we have someone in the studio who we sit down with, we have an open discussion. And usually on Mondays, it's either Ryan or myself. It's never us together. So, except for the snapshots.
Yeah.
So it's important for our audience to get an understanding. But the reason why we like the Wednesday show. It's a point that I think one of our guests made, that it's good for people who are getting used to being interviewed. So if they've never been on a show, they've never been in the media before, it's like a good warm-up for what to expect later on in their career.
And also, it's not so focused on them. It's more focused on them and the topic. So, yeah.
Definitely. So, this leads us to introducing our guest extraordinaire.
Guest of the week.
Mrs. Laura Fraser.
Hello.
Hi.
Ooh, I gotta get in here.
You're getting in on the live.
You're in, actually.
Yeah.
Just got my angle.
So
Hi,
I know
guys.
the audience can't see, but Laura's literally dressed in our brand colours today. She's in all yellow and actually the right shade as well.
That's it. I've got a rep.
Literally, I feel like I should be wearing her outfit. Like, she can leave it with me when she
I'll
goes
lend
home.
it to you next time, babe.
Post it to me. Yes, it's amazing to have you. Thank you for coming on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you just tell the people what you do?
All in one sentence.
All in one sentence. Yeah.
I'm a DJ, producer, radio host, and I have my finger in many pies, if you will, without sounding any type of way.
American.
Oh gosh. Anyway, I definitely tend to branch out into different industries, but I feel like they all collectively come under the same category and help and aid each other. But yeah, it's ever growing and ever changing, I feel like.
Yeah, brilliant. It's always nice to, like you said, have your finger in more than one pie, because if you have all your eggs in one basket, then it limits you.
It limits you, and I think it also puts a certain pressure and, if you will, desperation onto something, and it never comes through.
Indeed.
When you really, really, in some ways, need something, it will always have the opposite effect, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're really, really pushing, people can feel that.
Yeah.
And so you always need to diversify and have things come naturally to you.
Yes.
I think so. Absolutely. Because like you said, you can come across, if you're just literally focused on just the one thing,
Yeah.
at points,
Yeah.
you can come across a bit desperate.
And it's obviously a horrible thing, because, like, you know, you're obviously trying and everything like that, but that's human instinct. You know, you never want what falls in your lap. You want what you have to chase,
Sure.
and that's with everything in life. So if you know
It's more rewarding.
if you're like giving everything and jumping into, you know, the people that you need's laps, if you will, they're gonna jump back and be like, you know, give us a second. And that's what you learn from experience. we've all done that. We've all sent the 6 texts. We've all sent like 100 emails. But you learn, and it's definitely diversifying, finding different things, and finding what works for you naturally, where you don't actually have to do that, and you find that people are coming to you. And it's like you were saying before, when people are reacting back to you, you know you're doing something right.
Definitely.
Yes.
I think one of the best things is when it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. 100%, and it never should. And I think that's why people get entrapped. They think that work is something that they have to do and they have to be unhappy about, but it shouldn't be like that, because there's so many different types of work, and there's so many different ways you can work. It doesn't always have to be a 9 to 5. You can always find, you know, ways around it, you know. So yeah, it's about getting out there and taking some risks, really.
Yeah. How did you get to the point where you are so diversified?
Do you know what? I've had such an eclectic career path where, you know, I'm Australian, and I've kind of lived in Brazil, Ecuador, America, and here, and I've gone from every type of job under the sun. My first job in London, I was doing front of house at the Arts Club, so it was in hospitality. And then I went into PR, and then I went and had my own kind of PR, not firm, but clients, if you will. Then I went back to Australia, and then, you know, I kind of went all over the place. And then kind of where it felt right for me is when I started my first job as a radio host with my co-host Lara, and then we fell into DJing, and the music realm of things just really naturally took with me, and it came really quickly and fast and easily, and I was like, this is what I want to do, and I was passionate about it, so it wasn't work.
That's amazing.
It's so crazy because, for example, I never thought I'll be the host of a podcast show.
Yeah.
But now
And here we
that I'm
are.
doing
Good
it,
point. Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how, like, if you just keep going and you just keep trying different things and seeing what works, seeing what might not work, you eventually end up where you're supposed to be.
I think it's the author of Eat, Pray, Love. she had a story about telling people to follow their passion, and there was one day she done a seminar. I think it was in Australia actually, and this
I read that book. I loved that book.
Well, one lady said, I'm sitting here, I feel distraught because you're telling me to follow my passion. I'm telling you, I haven't got the passion. It's not for want of trying, but I don't have this like burning fire inside me. And she thought about it. She was like, oh man, that maybe there are people out there that don't feel that passion. So she changed it to like follow your curiosity, which I think is what we've done with the podcast and exactly what you've done.
And I think people's understanding of what passion is different to everyone. You know, people might feel passion in different ways, but her understanding of passion might be like your whole body lights up and there's
Right.
always going to be hard times. Nothing comes like, you're not going to have every single day where you're like, I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
I've had like the most distressing, awful days. But, good comes with the bad, and people need to understand that. And I think with these types of things, people give up that second too early because it's all about keeping consistency, and if you're not consistent with anything, it's never going to work. You can't just give it your all once. You've got to give it your all 150 times before you see anything.
Oh yeah.
I think sometimes as well, it's like, because I listen to a lot of motivational speakers and things like that, and there's always this question, what is your why? But I don't think you necessarily know what your why is. There's some people who can say straight up, I know that this is what I was destined to do. But I think for most of us, like, you just have to try different things until essentially it finds you.
Yeah,
and then sometimes as well, for example, your why might be, you want to leave a legacy of helping thousands or millions of people. But the way how you end up doing it is not necessarily how you visualized it in the first place. So you might say, I want to help. So, for example, when we had Bissy on, and she said that she wanted to be a doctor so that she can help people. But I think your why is kind of like more your mission rather than how you get there. So, like, what is it that you want to do? I want to leave a legacy, but how you define that is never ever going to be a straight line.
And I think the how is almost more important because, like, sometimes it doesn't matter your intentions, it matters the results and how you go about it and how it makes you feel and what you've done from it. So,
That's an interesting take because the way most people would hear how is literally how I do it, like ABC. But what I heard there is the intention, how you actually go about doing it, which was good.
But it's also what Oprah always says, what is your intention?
Yeah.
And I think intention plays a key role because it's like, what is our intention with this podcast? That's what drives it. So there might be some podcasts and their main goal is just to have thousands of listeners. But ours is more on the value, that our audience gains from the content and from the guests that we have on the show. And, everyone should feel motivated after every conversation, especially for the point that you make. And it's all about consistency. And it's not just about, you start today, 10 minutes later, you're successful, because it's never that.
Oh my God, I wish.
But then you get impatient, because I've found myself doing that with the podcast where, like, we're starting to get traction and I'm like, oh my God, it's a great, but then you have to stop yourself in your tracks and say, you know what, just calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Just take your time, because then you get into that place where you just want to rush it.
And also, like, the thing is as well, if you think you hit your goals or whatever, sometimes you can just become lazy after that. You're like, I did it. Now I'm going to go to bed. I don't do anything. But it's, exactly. You just have to set your foundations for your next success as well, which is really important.
Can you tell us a time or a story about when you've done that in terms of you set a goal and you've had to stay consistent?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so many times, getting our first agent, like all of these sorts of things, especially with DJing, you can have the best gig one day, but if you haven't got your rest of your gigs lined up that month, then you're not making any money. Like, we can be flown out to the Monaco Grand Prix and play, and we're like having the time of our lives, and then like, wait, hold on. I need to get back and actually poor. Do you know what I mean?
There's like so many like highs and lows.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely in this sort of industry as well, it can be really fickle. It just because you've had a success doesn't mean you're successful. And that's the same with producing music. It's the same with that sort of thing. You've got to constantly be seeking more opportunities and networking. I mean, you know, my mum never understands this, but going out is so important for us because meeting the people that run the venues, networking with all of these things, because having a personal relationship, it's one thing to be good, but there's 100 zillion DJs out there.
Exactly.
So it's another thing for them to know you and have that relationship with them.
I was going to ask that because what defines the consistency as a DJ? Is it because are you predominantly playing other people's music or is it your own?
Well, as I have one song, that would get caught.
That's the end of the set. So now we've played the song. Good night, guys.
I mean, I have played it a couple of times in a night, but just for a bit of self-promotion.
Yeah,
no,
not?
I mean, you play other people's music. When I say consistency and like networking and that sort of stuff, I mean, I used to work in PR in hospitality, so I've got a lot of venue contacts. So I'll reach out to them. You know, we have an agent as well, but you can't always rely on just getting from what just comes through.
Yes.
Because sometimes it comes through and sometimes it doesn't. So then you've also got to be planting the seeds yourselves. I mean, I personally am not so much into DJing at clubs. They're really late. They don't pay well. You know, you can be DJing from 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. And that's a long set, and it's not worth it. I mean, we try to do more fashion events and brand ourselves as that, and kind of have ourselves as specialized DJs, and that's what we kind of prefer. It's more our style of music, and
then you've
like
created
that.
A niche for yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel like most DJs, because we had a DJ manager on, but he didn't explore that topic actually. But I think most DJs automatically think of the club. But then one of the things we discussed during that conversation is the fact that people don't really go to clubs as much as they used to.
Do you know what? Like, clubs are always quite busy, but it's a different crowd in every club. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, at a club, you just get harassed and people are like, I played this song.
Oh, yeah, I know. I've had
you
that.
have a drink.
I've had that.
And I'm like, oh my God, just go away. I've had money thrown at me at the club to be like, play my song. And I'm like, I'll take your money. I'm not playing the song. But I know, really, I've had, like, also because we're two girls, I've had, you know, the guys come through and try and pick you up and like everything.
What?
It's really intense. Like also if there's a lot of people, like sometimes they're like really right near the DJ booth, and
that's
you're getting bumped and like the drinks are spilling everywhere and you're trying to like do your thing, and it's quite hard and it's really stressful, and I don't know if it's so much for me. I'm always like, don't touch me, don't touch the equipment.
It's so funny until you actually do it, but it is quite stressful.
It's
like,
really
especially in a club environment.
And people will be like, why can't you just, like, they'll come and they'll talk to you and try and do a mix, and you're like, 1 second, they're like, don't be rude, you're being rude. And I'm like,
I'm trying to do my job, man. Like, allow me.
Allow me. But yeah, so I mean, I was saying to my DJ partner that we should do something called the DJ Diaries, because we see the funniest things.
That would be hilarious. That kind of relates to my next question as well, because how much does your personal branding play into you marketing towards your niche?
Oh, like everything. I mean, like I said, we've only been DJing for around like 2 years now, which is great. And we actually went to like DJ classes and everything. We learned everything properly. But you know, there's been DJs out there that have been doing for 10 years and they struggle to get booked. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a saturated market, so you've just got to use what you have around you. You know, where we've always been in entertainment and media, and you know, we can utilize our social media, and also we know what type of music needs to be played at these events because we're at them all the time. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we know exactly what works, what doesn't work. Our playlist is always going to be on point, and we know half the people there anyway, so it makes it easier, more comfortable for everyone. No one wants a really like shy DJ that's like there, like that can't speak to people and everything like that, especially at those types of events. So it's definitely quite natural for us.
So networking is definitely key for your approach to DJing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I feel like most DJs, you know, the typical DJ probably comes in with their decks or their music. I don't know what you carry these days.
Yeah, just a USB.
But they just come in, play their set, and leave. Kind of a bit antisocial.
Yeah. We have a party. Like, we're having a massive party. And it creates the ambience as well, especially because if it's not at a club, the DJ will create, like, whether you're going to be dancing or not. Because at these sorts of events, people can either stand there and drink, or they can get up and dance and have fun or whatever. and that comes from you.
Do you feel like you've mastered that?
Yeah, definitely.
That's so sick because
Yeah.
literally, like, when
Yeah.
you're in that environment, you see how people are really dictated by the music. So it's your decision making, your choice making that that really defines if a night is going to be good
Or bad.
or not.
100%, and I always say that's the most important thing, rather than skill, rather than anything, is your music preparation and understanding a crowd. Because if they're not dancing to your music, then you need to change it.
That's another thing I was going to say. Some DJs actually play for themselves.
Yeah,
So like,
Yeah.
no, I'm in my zone. I'm having a good time. Headphones.
Yeah.
No, the DJ's working and no one's dancing on the floor.
yeah, that's my pet hate. No, or they're like too kind of proud. So if they only play like house music or EDM, they won't switch.
Right.
They'll say, no, I don't play that. I'm like, I'll play whatever you guys want to hear.
Right, exactly.
Like, it makes my job easier if you're dancing. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
I'm like, you want Afro beats? I got it. You know, yeah.
No, but it's also like you might miss out on opportunity because
Yeah.
there might be someone there who really liked your style and like the way how you groove with the crowd, which prefers a genre that you wouldn't normally play, but you flung on the Afro beats and your vibes into it, and next minute you're booked.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. In some ways, I say, okay, it's great to have your niche, maybe on your SoundCloud, and that the stuff that you're really good at. But when you're going out to a venue, they're always going to know their crowd better than you. So they're going to say, this is what our venue plays, and this is what people come here for.
So do you think people are
Know your
hiring
crowd.
you based on your personality as well? Because have you sort of defined your niche in terms of what genre of music you play, and then you still get booked to have opportunities anyway that may be outside of that?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of do very much make it clear that we play all genres. I mean, I personally am hip hop, and Lara, my partner, is quite house. That's our preference, but we play everything, and we say that, you know, on our agency website, and
That's
people
good.
kind of know that about us. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you utilize SoundCloud as a DJ?
I don't.
Because you mentioned
I
it.
really should. No, that's on my list of things to do today. No, I do have my mixes, and they're on my agency website. But I've never been bothered to make my own SoundCloud.
Well, actually, being using SoundCloud as a DJ is more difficult because if you're playing other people's music, there's a bunch of copyright notices.
No, you
that
can
come
just
up.
do your own mixes on them. Generally, it's fine.
Mixcloud, I know, is probably a better platform for that, but there's more users on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
What about Spotify? Do you use Spotify? Do you have like a playlist or anything?
Well, I have like, but I'm a Spotify artist because I have a song released on there.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So then
Plug the song. What's it called?
it's called Animal.
Animal.
Yeah. No, it's Animal, and it's with my partner on the song, which is Art Bastion, and it's on all platforms.
Dope.
Brilliant.
Yes.
And artist name?
DJ Lara Fraser.
DJ Lara Fraser. Animal.
Animal.
Check it out. Check it out.
Yes, just to go back to something that we do every week, we normally discuss our most creative thing that we've seen this week. So, what is yours, Mr.
Oh,
Noel?
me. I've forgotten his name, but there's an engineer on. He's on probably on all the social platforms, but I see him most on Twitter, and he does these really like weird contraptions where it'll be like something stupid, like how to fry an egg, but then he'll make this. He'll put a ball on a slide, and the ball will go down,
Oh, I've
hit a hammer,
seen
and then
those. They're so cool.
yeah, and it takes like 5 minutes to then fry the egg, but it's just crazy watching that. There you go.
Yeah, his name's Joseph's Machines.
Joseph's Machines. I knew it was Joseph. Joseph Machines. Yeah, crazy. We'll stick up one of his videos in the description. But yeah, that is definitely the most creative thing I've seen this week.
Yeah.
It's creative engineering for the sake. It doesn't serve a purpose at all, apart from it's actually sick.
Yeah, there's one that I think he did when he was putting a stamp on a letter, and then he was just cutting up onions, and then the teardrop dropped into the thing, and it went all the way around for it to come back and just to put a stamp on an envelope. But it's just
They're
it
not
was so
practical,
cool.
but
Yeah,
creative.
it's creative, and his face is just so serious, like.
He's usually sitting there eating like dinner or something like that, and all this madness is happening around him. It's
That's
really
kinda
good.
cool, though. I
It's
like
really
that.
cool.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
That's something that we actually do on our page. We feature like really like cool creatives. So mine was going to be the body art illusionists
Oh, that was crazy.
that I posted yesterday, and basically he creates body art just by it will have like say for example they created a frog, but it was 3 different people together to combine to make up the frog.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and they use like neon paint and all of
Neon
that.
paints, etc. But it's really, really good.
That was really good, yeah.
Johannes.
Was it another Joe?
Tortorat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description. I can't pronounce his name, but it's Johannes Tortorat. Yeah, and his work's absolutely breathtaking. Like, for example.
Yeah.
What, they're people? Wait.
Reaction video or reaction audio.
Wow, that's wicked. Whoa, what?
Exactly. It's just mad.
That's mad.
But it's just the thing that blows my mind with these creators is first you think of it. What even makes you think of it in the first place? But then to execute it.
Yeah, the
do you know how
application of it.
difficult it must be? Because that's like most of them are made up of like 4 different people that come together to create like the frog, for example. So then you have to think of, I need to paint that on his arm and I need to put that underneath her
And they
neck.
need to
So when
they need to pose like this.
yeah,
like this.
and one has to come into the next with her arm slightly like that, so you can get the line and the symmetry. So it just blows my mind. So it's such a good thing. Since we've been doing this show, we really shine a spotlight on creators every day, but it just makes you aware of
How many amazing things
how
there are.
many amazing people there are out there. Like there was another one I posted last week, and the guy he paints, but he creates the illusion that the paint has been wrapped in bubble wrap.
Oh, whoa.
Really? I ain't seen that.
You not seen that?
No. I didn't see that.
Distracted.
Oh,
Oh wow.
that's so cool.
And that must be difficult to do because the face, whilst he's painting the bubble wrap on top of it, he's also painting the image of the face in the background of it.
Yeah, he's still got to keep that.
Yeah, so you have
Yeah.
to know. So he draws it in circles.
Oh, my goodness.
That is
Anything
mad.
There's just
Right.
so many crazily talented people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're trying to document all of them on our
Hence
Instagram.
Give them
all
an
the
outlet.
creators.
Exactly.
We can document them all.
exactly.
Yeah. So that's the most creative thing that you've seen this week.
Okay, well, it's
Or
not
in a
this
while.
week because I can't even remember what I've seen this week. I don't know. I've just had like so much stuff going on. But mine's a little bit more simple, but I'm always really fascinated in this. And I was just in Peru and I was in the Amazon over there.
Oh,
and
Wow.
some of the locals there, they do this incredible basket art where they get these long ass pieces of grass, and I'm sure you've seen it before, but I've never seen it this fast and this amazingly done. But it holds like they do it in such a way that it can hold it can hold all of the fruit and it can hold everything like that. And I was just fascinated. I'd watch them, they'd just be like, shh.
Oh really?
Yeah. It was
It's like passing down ancient traditions.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to what we were speaking about with the Manhood Academy. It's that all of these things are so important for us to pass on to the next generation, because the more we get into this, like, you know, technological world and digital world, we're going to leave a lot of those things behind. And it's really important for us to, you know, maintain our heritage. and what makes us
I mean,
different.
we gain skill sets and then we lose skill sets as well, you know, with every kind of change in terms of technology and that sort of thing as well. I think we lose a lot of our instinctual skills and movements and that sort of stuff, and we've lost how to interact with nature a lot.
When you were seeing them making these baskets, was it just like one person making them?
No,
or-
there was probably about 5 or 6 of
Wow.
the girls, but I think a lot of the different communities. I mean, I was in a really remote area in the Peruvian Amazon, so you've got to go down like 2 hours by a river and then hike and then everything else at an eco lodge out there.
Wow. That sounds like bucket list.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
do something like that, because that reminds me of the book I was telling you about, the Celestine Prophecies. Because the guy was going through the Amazon, and then he was learning about, you know, the importance of connecting with nature and, you know, how we interact with plants and things like that, because they're living things. So it was really nice.
So I work with an organisation called Fashion for Conservation, and it's their eco retreat and research centre out there.
Nice.
So they basically link. I always kind of explain it by linking concrete and green jungles. So making people aware that, you know, every little action that we do over here affects out there.
Right.
And creating easy ways to make alternative choices, especially through fashion. We do fashion runway shows and everything like that with different materials and you know, eco-friendly designers and that sort of stuff to make it trendy, to make those sustainable choices and that sort of thing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me.
Is that why you was?
Yeah, I was out there. I was actually doing a music video out there for
cool.
one of our next songs.
Nice.
And with me and another singer, LL, are doing an EP.
LL Cool J?
LL Cool J. No, she actually
Cool
used
Jane.
to. She actually used to be LL the letters and then had to change it because of that to
Of course.
LELLE.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, that was a really amazing experience, and we've got a load of content coming out over that soon. So.
Is it going to be
Perfect.
on your YouTube or? anything like that?
There's a few different outlets for the video just generally surrounding about what we were doing out there, and then there's our music video that will go with the songs that are coming out, which will be on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all of that sort of thing as well.
That's really cool, and I like the way that you combine both the mission and the music video.
Yeah, I think that's the point. It's integrating everything and not necessarily doing good feel like a chore, being like an eco warrior or something. Having that branding around it is just kind of integrating it into everyday life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Cool. So should we move on to the topic of the week?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the topic of this week was, does music ability have anything to do with a person's gender?
Bum, bum, bum.
Dun, dun, dun. So I wanted to start with the feedback that we actually received from our audience. I
You just
think
gave me
that's
an
a
idea.
good.
So. When you were done that sound effect, I think I'm actually going to add it.
Yeah, definitely.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, mine wasn't good enough.
It was the spark.
Yeah, so we actually received feedback from our audience, which was amazing. So Mr. Will Media, who we've actually had on the show, said, I don't think so, but maybe different music abilities require different balances in emotion that are common in one gender than the other, such as rap being more masculine and R&B being more feminine.
I mean, that's such a loaded comment because then it brings up, are genders do they actually affect people's emotional capability as well? Like that's going real deep there. But I think what I was saying before is a variation on that. So, I mean, tonally in singing, like, you know, a male's voice is generally lower than a female. So it may affect which parts you play in a song or that sort of a thing as well. I don't know. I was struck by, in the general question, I thought we had to actually define what ability was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So ability means that you are basically capable of reading music, you know, creating the actual song, or, you know, whatever your sector is in that, being able to actually do it. And I don't think gender affects that, no.
Yeah.
Ironically, I read a study that was done on preschool children, and they found that females had better music ability than males.
But when they say ability, is that rhythm?
It's a combination of all the different facets of it. So rhythm,
But I mean,
being
that
able
could
to
just be
read
due to,
music and things like that.
You learn at different stages
Yeah.
as you grow up.
Yeah, apparently females learn a lot faster than males.
Right.
Apparently.
In most things.
But I mean, it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's where you get to, isn't it? And I don't believe that your gender affects your ability whatsoever in anything. I think that's just the self-preservation of the older generation, basically, just trying to say, look, you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, it's happened to every minority.
They're learned kind of choices that will be made for female or gender. So you're told that females can do this for a lot of things and males can't. But I mean, it's an individual thing. All of us have different capabilities, and some may be musical and some may not be. But I don't think having a set of ovaries or not is going to say whether you can play guitar or not. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I just wanted to touch back on the fact that we actually did a poll, and 19% of the respondents said that it does have an impact.
19%.
19%,
Okay.
but 81% said it doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Look, it would be interesting to know why they said it does.
Yeah,
Do you know? I mean,
definitely.
I'm sure the reasons would be quite varied.
So I guess we can explore some of them. So I was thinking about it from the perspective of, you know, in the music industry. So, for example, I interviewed Yinka Bokini the other day, and she mentioned that she was the first ever female headliner as a DJ for wireless.
That doesn't shock me at all.
And then I was like, wow, because
Yeah.
you don't even think about these things, but it's in 2018, it's still the case. And then there's also the argument that, you know, that DJs, why are women always tagged with the title of a female DJ as opposed to just being a talented DJ? Because in every field I always find that there's always the mention of female, so it's female rapper, but you never hear them say male rapper coming up.
No, exactly.
It's always
Because
like
that's
female.
the normative is the male, and then it's other than is the female.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But I mean, especially with DJing, it's the majority of DJs are male, and coming through as a female DJ, you are automatically almost not taken seriously. And you're thought of being there because you're pretty, or because you're a female, or because of this. And it's so funny. As soon as you do a good job, they're like, "Oh wow, you're actually good."
Yeah,
and you're like,
that's
"Oh
true.
wow, thank you. Why did you book me if you didn't think I was actually going to be good?" I mean, I've had situations where I've walked into. I'm not going to even say what the venue is, but I've walked into the venue, and the manager of the venue is like, "Well, at least you look good."
Whoa.
And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
I'm like, oh, thank you. Never. I mean, you get judged just so much harsher on things. But you know, it's kind of a challenge, and you go in and you prove them wrong. And there are
But having to prove them wrong is just.
yeah, you shouldn't have to.
shouldn't
But
have to.
yeah, of course you shouldn't. But there's a lot of things in this world you shouldn't have to do.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
How do you feel about lists, for example, when they said the top female
I was gonna say
DJs
that,
of
yeah.
2018? How do you feel about things like that?
Yeah,
Because it's
'cause
almost like
I'm currently in
comparing
one
it-
of those.
No, it's
Oh,
good. So how did you feel about that?
Well,
you know,
it's,
being in the list. Did you find that, you know, empowering? That was that validation that, you know, you're doing well, or do you just think that there shouldn't be lists? You should just be a DJ.
Or that the list should be inclusive.
Yeah, this should just be the top DJs in the world rather
Well,
than
I just
female.
got tagged in something, and it's the newest. It's a top female DJs, is what I was saying. So they've basically gone around and it's the only poll that's being taken for top female DJs around the world. And do you know what? I don't take offense to that. I don't. I actually. Do you know? They have that in most categories. They have male and female. Like if you look at athletes, if you look at even like acting awards, any of those sorts of things, they're generally categorized by gender, and that's just the way it is at the moment. So, I mean, at least now they are doing that. It's better than just having male
Sure.
DJs. So
Yeah,
it's all
some
good.
recognition. But do you think that a female should be given a gig just because she's female, or do you think she should earn it? Because that's the other side of things. Because people usually go from one extreme to the next. So it's always, it could be, because there's like 90% male DJs out there. So let's do a drive to get more female DJs, and then that DJ may not necessarily be good at what they do, just not because they're female, but just that they just don't have the talent. So it's like almost like positive discrimination. But does that solve the problem?
I saw this thing a while ago, and it was kind of aimed to showcase when minority groups had been discriminated against.
Yeah.
And as they said, there's a difference between being fair and then being equal. So they had a podium stand, and they were like fair, and they had a short person, like a medium height person, and a tall person, and they're all on one platform. The tall person could see, the medium person, height person couldn't, neither could the short, right? And that's equal. Fair was giving the short person a little boost up so that they could see over the edge. The medium person less of a boost, and the tall person was like that. And that struck me. And it's like
That's
any
a good visual, actually.
yeah, I think it's great. And when a minority group in any format, so when, you know, females couldn't work, when, you know, certain races couldn't work or vote or this or that, immediately when they were allowed in that sector, they had to be given a boost up, because if it was equal still, like they were on an equal platform still, people are still going to go for what they already know. Do you know what I mean? So there has to be some type of push to take it over the edge.
Yep.
Okay.
That makes sense. I think what will happen, especially with like festivals, like I know Wireless got a lot of controversy for not having any females headlining. Sorry,
No,
and there's
sorry.
clearly like it's music, so
Yeah.
there's clearly enough talent out there to have a diverse lineup. But what I think will happen is festivals like that and people like that will start doing this kind of positive discrimination, like you were saying, where they will say, okay, well, we have to have...
there should be a certain quota that they have to fill, they do in workplaces and that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Because that's the only way that it's going to make people shift, because if they don't have to, they won't generally, you know?
Yeah.
If it doesn't affect them, they won't.
Yeah, what I was going to say, though, on your point is I think that there is enough talent out there. I don't think they would ever book someone just because they're female, because there are plenty of females that excel in every area of life. So,
and if they're doing that, then they're just a bad booker, like, because they've got a million choices. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you pick someone shit, that's on you. You haven't. Like, do you know what I mean? You haven't done your research.
Yeah, I think it's also because when I was speaking to Yinka, there's also the other side of it, which again is around the same debate about positive discrimination. Because when she worked at Rinse FM, for example, she mentioned that a lot of the DJs were actually female. And people were chastising Rinse FM, saying, why are all the DJs female? So it can actually go the opposite way, because when you look at all of the young DJs that are coming up now, like Maya Jama, Yinka started there, who else? I think Lara, Ambrose started there, Snooshi, that they all started at Rinse. And it was heavily dominated by women at one point.
but that's maybe because they saw the problem and that was their way of...
Well, you know, I'm actually
was
with
saying
an
they
all-female
fell into
DJ agency, so like...
Oh, really?
There's only females there, and...
so is that an issue as well? Because what if a guy is interested in signing up to your agency?
No, they can't, because it's not at all, because you can have agencies for different things, for different niches or for whatever, and you just go to whatever is for you. But it's actually a guy that owns it, and he was like, you know, his sister was a DJ, and there just wasn't a platform for it. So he opened it up, and it's done really well, and it's over in LA, London, Hong Kong.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. So is there actually an audience that's specific to female DJs? Because I assume in fashion it'll be more suitable to have a female DJ than maybe a male DJ, just because of the fashion industry.
I think also sometimes it's a little less aggressive having a female DJ. People feel like a slightly more comfortable in like older crowds and like that sort of stuff as well. But it doesn't make a difference as long as you're playing the right music for a place. It doesn't matter if you're male, female. It's just, if you're good at what you do, everyone's going to have fun. You know?
Do you ever get stereotyped for the genres of music that you play?
Yeah, everyone thinks I'm going to be like a house DJ, and I'm not. So, like, I'll come in with my old school hip hop, and something like, what? What's going on here? But yeah, everyone's like, no one would think I'm like hip hop. I don't know why.
Everyone's prejudiced.
Because you without doing it on purpose, we all stereotype people in some way.
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Because I have to admit, I didn't think that you were going to say hip hop.
I know.
But then hip hop's the number one genre in the world.
I know. But then when you start singing Biggie and stuff, everyone's like, okay.
So I guess a good question for you as well was, why did you decide to make the transition from presenter to DJ, or is it just something that
literally fell in our laps? It was kind of funny. I think they thought we were DJs already, and we got asked to open Fashion Week.
Because I think that's what most people assume, because until we had on
radio host
Jay London, I think, because I started off listening to pirate radio before I listened to like the mainstream stations. So pirate radio hosts or presenters or DJs were always DJs, because they'll be the DJs that you go to the rave to.
Yeah.
But then, so when I started listening to like mainstream radio, like Capital and things like that, automatically assumed that if you're on there, you must be a DJ.
Yeah.
Because in your mind, you're taking the rave mentality into the radio station, but then they're actually presenters and not DJs.
Yeah. Because I mean, I also have like a presenting, acting background kind of thing as well. Lara, my partner, is of course an actress. So we were hosting a radio show, and then we got asked to do to launch London Fashion Week, one of their launching parties, as a DJ duo, and we're like, yeah, sure, okay. No, cool. So we're like, let's go take some DJ classes, and we're like, oh, this is a lot harder than we thought. We thought we'd come in and we'd go.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not even joking.
So did you end up doing that
Yes,
gig?
we did, but we were so petrified when we got the owner of the DJ school, to come with us and stand behind us. We were like,
That's preparation,
I
though.
genuinely have never been so scared in my life, because I thought I was gonna, like, it was a lot to take in like 4 days.
So does that really show you the importance of saying yes?
Yeah,
regardless?
exactly. No, I definitely think you take every opportunity and you deal with it. I think there's so much fear in failing, and that fear itself is scarier than actually failing. Do you know what I mean? When you
Very
fail
good
at
point.
something, you realize it's not the end of the world. I failed at a lot of things.
Same.
So isn't it ironic? So how would you describe yourself now? What comes first when you tell people, "Oh, I'm Lara Fraser"? Would you say DJ or presenter?
Oh my god, I don't know. I'm probably DJ. Yeah.
Isn't it
Yeah.
ironic?
I'm like, wait, I don't know.
Because when I was introduced to you,
Yeah.
it was DJ first.
Yeah, yeah,
and not
yeah. I mean, I'm-
presenter. So it's so strange that actually what you started out doing is now second place to the thing you fell into.
It's like what I said. It's what comes easiest as well and naturally. That fell really naturally with
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
and it picked up really, really quickly. And I think also because we'd been doing events and stuff our whole lives, music we knew our music really well and what people liked and what they didn't like. And so even from the beginning, our organization is key, and our playlists were always very, very good.
Yeah.
So we always had that to fall back on, and people were like, we loved your music every single night, and that's when recommendations just happen from that.
Awesome. Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you organize your playlist, do you have like a start, middle, and end?
Yeah,
kind of thing?
definitely. I mean, it depends. You definitely, depending on what time it starts and what time it finishes, but you can start. I like to start with a little bit of like funk, like Latin kind of thing to get people dancing. Then you go maybe into house, and you finish off the end of the night with hip hop, I think.
How long are your sets usually?
I mean, we've done everything. I prefer to keep it at 2 hours because that is a nice chunk
That's
of
a
time.
nice, it is. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I've done 9-hour sets.
Oh my
9-hour
God.
sets.
Yeah, when we. Oh my gosh.
Wait, how do you? Well, obviously
know.
there's two of you, so
How
you
do
can,
you
you
prepare
can
for
like
9 hours?
have a
I
plan.
did not, because I did not know it was going to be 9 hours. We definitely ran out of music, and I think I took a nap at one point under the in saying that we were
Did you
on
go
a,
for a Guinness World Record?
no, we were on a yacht, and so they had to have music running the whole day, so we could put mixers on and like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of stuff. So it wasn't like straight 9 hours of DJ, but we had to have the music running for 9 hours, and that is really hard to have enough music.
That's a
Because
lot
and
of
also
music.
when you're on a boat, it's the same crowd. Like
Oh, of
if you're
course,
in
yeah.
a venue, people come dip in
Move
and out,
in,
and
yeah.
if you've got a 5-hour set, you can play a song at the beginning and at the end, and people aren't really going to know. But if you've got the same crowd on the entire day, it's really hard. But
That is crazy.
yeah, that was one of our rookie areas where we didn't ask what our set timings were, and we like got paid like nothing.
What?
And we were like, oh, yeah. I mean, no, this was before we had an agent or anything.
Exactly.
Like,
That's-
we didn't know what to ask for. And we got really like taken advantage of. In
So that's
lot
a
of-
good thing to explore. What
Yeah.
are some of the key things that you ask her up front when, you know... when
Well, you
when
ask
can send a
firstly what
booking?
equipment they have, because you need to know if your USB is going to work or not. What equipment they have. Hello. What equipment they have, how long your set time is, and basically what genre they need.
And in terms of like, you know, agreeing your fee, do you set your fee? Because, you know, like say, for example, in, I don't know, in acting, I think they've got like a bottom line, or do you do like an hourly rate? Or
Well, my
how do
agent
you-
will do that now, and so he will negotiate the fee for you. But he will send it over and say, this is what it is. You can say yes or no. at the end.
And like, for example, if you're going to play on a yacht, so I assume
Mm.
it wasn't in the UK, so they cover your travelling
The River
costs.
Thames.
It's different every time,
Excuse
and
me,
you've got to understand whether it's worth it or not for you. Sometimes they'll say, "Listen, we won't get your flight over, but your accommodation and fee is there." And maybe transportation to and from the place. And if it works out, it works out. Ideally, what you want is to have it completely paid from the minute that you leave your house. But, you know, it just depends on the client and what the budget is and whether it's worth it to you, because it takes time out of what you're doing here as well. So there's a lot of things that you need to think about with it, because also there's going to be a lot of unexpected things that happen, and where you end up having to pay for things and this and
Yeah,
that.
that's
And
true.
you don't want to end up losing money when you're going to work.
Exactly. So what's one of the weirdest experience that you've had as a DJ?
one of the weirdest experiences. Oh gosh, we've had a lot of weird experiences. I had a girl, a girl come up and I think she was very, very drunk, and she came up and she kept requesting vanilla ice, right? And we were,
As you do.
as you do, and me and Lara, we were on a stage, and everyone was like below us, kind of dancing and everything. And this girl was so drunk, she just walked off the front of the stage and went onto her face, and her dress fell over her head. And we were just like, oh my God. But yeah, I mean, you see the funniest things. There's also, there's this one thing that people do to the DJ where they look at the DJ while they're dancing. And they're like, look at you, and you're like, yeah, I got you. You like the song, bitch. You're good.
It's so funny because I remember when I used to work in a pub, but it used to double up as a nightclub, like on the weekends. And literally, you'd see the girls come in, they're looking all gorgeous and things like that, and you're just feeling like shit because you're just working behind the bar and thinking, that's how it would look if I was having fun, but I'm working.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the night, you're just like, who the hell are you? Because it's like a total transformation.
Oh my God.
Alcohol is something else.
But it's so funny because we've got a bird's eye view of everything. And there's the weirdest dance moves going on out there. And like you just think, I'm never drinking again. Of course you do. But when you see it like that, you're just like, oh man, people are weird.
Okay. That kind of brings us nicely to one of the questions that we always ask our guests. And it is, what would you say is your why, considering that we've already discussed this and you said it's your how?
My why and my how. Why? Because I enjoy it. And I think, as we said before, work is something that you should enjoy. And I like freelance. I don't think I could work an everyday desk job. I'm not very good at it. It doesn't suit me. I don't like 9 to 5 hours. I like to kind of do my own thing. So I have control of what and how I do things.
Brilliant.
If you could go back to when you were 10 years old in Australia, I'm assuming?
Yep, just climbing rocks and surfing and chilling with the kangaroos and stuff. Yeah.
What would you tell yourself knowing what you know now?
Just try for everything. If you don't ask, you don't know. You know, there's nothing wrong with being told no. And also, just don't be scared of doing stuff.
Definitely.
Good.
Amazing.
Well, it's been really, really nice having you on.
Yeah,
today.
It's been great, guys.
It's been a good conversation.
Both your ears off.
No. That's what we're here for.
No, but it goes back to what you said. Like, you want guests who you want to talk, because if you don't talk, it's like
it gets a bit awkward.
So okay. Anyway, once again, as we say every single week, guys, make sure that you follow us on our socials.
Talking about following us, sorry, 2 secs. Where can people follow you online?
That's true.
Okay, Instagram, Lara, Lara.Fraser, Facebook, Lara Fraser Official, and Twitter, DJ Lara Fraser.
And on Spotify,
DJ Lara Fraser. I'm like, wait, what is it? Yeah,
and the single is
Animal.
Cool. Check that out. Cool. So you guys can follow For The Creators on Instagram at For The Creators Podcast. It's not your average Instagram profile. You're going to get something good on there every single day that's going to either inspire you or shock you lately.
Basically.
Thanks for listening to another episode. We really, really appreciate your ears. And give us a 5-star review if you can, please. Thanks. And a nice review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you hear this podcast.
Yeah, and tune into our next episode, which coincidentally features another DJ, which will be Yinka Bokini from Capital Extra.
Yeah.
So we're doing the DJ thing.
Cool, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.